And we begin tonight with the Native American Urban Relocation Program. It changed the face of cities across the country as well as Native American culture. Leon Bibb shares details on the movement, which first started at an historic Ohio City church, and the legacy that continues to be felt across the land.
The old building in Cleveland stands not only as a worship place for a congregation which meets here, but it also is a historical structure where many significant turning points in the lives of people seeking new ways of life unfolded. When early 19th century stones were cemented into place, founders of the Cleveland near West Side's St. John's Episcopal Church could have no thought of the role the building would play in the lives of American Indians more than a century later. Marie Toledo is a member of the Lake Erie Native American Council, a local group working to preserve Native American culture. In 1969, she was in the church building when it hosted Native American activist Russell Means, who led the formation of what would become the Cleveland American Indian Center.
Their point in that was to have Native people literally absorbed into the melting pot and reservations gone, indigenous people eradicated as we know it.
Cleveland was one of 8 relocation centers offering employment opportunities for Native Americans. The center here was designed to help Indians in an urban environment, but with the center, there were problems, internal and external. Many things envisioned did not take place. In 1995, it closed. Today, Marie Toledo says the members of the Lake Erie Native American Council try to pick up where the earlier center left off. It also works to educate the public on the fact that Indians are not a monolithic group, but comprised of many tribes.
Understanding other tribes, because we can be very different.
Some figures place population of Native Americans in Northeast Ohio at 5,000. Toledo was born and raised in Cleveland and ties her ancestry to the Pueblo people of the southwestern United States.
The Pueblo people are the oldest known inhabitants on this continent. We're ancient people.
In the final days of the 60s and into the 70s, the lives of Native American tribes were discussed in the old church building, where the Cleveland American Indian Center was formed. Since the church's formation in the 1830s, St. John's Episcopal has helped racial minorities at many turning points in their lives.
If this building could talk, the stories that it would tell. You know, there's a tie between Native Americans who met in this building and also runaway black slaves from the American Confederacy. Just as this building was the first American Indian Center in Cleveland, it was also a stop 100 years before on the Underground Railroad.
Generations later, Marie Toledo and the Lake Erie Native American Council tell the stories not only for the rest of America, but also
for ourselves and for our children, sharing it with within our Native community, our indigenous community, and outside there.
A turning point. For 3 News, I'm Leon Bibb.